Torah portion number 5 is Chayei Sarah, translates to Life of Sarah. Torah portion is taken from Genesis 23 through 25, verse 18. Haftar is 1 Kings chapter 1, verses 1 through 31, and the apostolic portion is taken from the book of John, chapter 4, verses 3 through 14. Genesis 23. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah, and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead, and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us withholds from you his burial site, from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Sohar, for me. And let me have the cave of Machpelah which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me, I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of the city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Genesis 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Jehovah had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Jehovah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Yitzhak. And the servant said to him, What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, Beware, lest you take my son back there. Yahovah, Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, To your seed I give this land. He sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, Yahovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day, and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, Please, let down your jar to let me drink, and she says, Drink, and let me water your camels too. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitzhak, and let me know by this that you have shown kindness to my master. And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Ribkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good-looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her, and said, Please let me drink a little water from your jar. And she said, Drink, my master. And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand, and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, Let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking. And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahovah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrist weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, Whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, We have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahovah. And he said, Blessed be Yahovah Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yahovah led me to the house of my master's brothers. Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Ribkah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban went out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Ribkah saying, Thus the man spoke to me, that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, Come in, O blessed of Yahovah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, Let me not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, Speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yahovah has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, What if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yahovah, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then, when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give you to her, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yahovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the maiden comes out to draw water, and I say to her, Please give me a little water from your jar to drink. And she says to me, Drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yahovah has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart. Then see, Ribkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, Please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, Drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrist. And I bowed my head and worshipped Yahovah, and blessed Yahovah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show kindness and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, The matter comes from Yahovah. We are not able to speak to you, either evil or good. See, Ribkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahovah has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yahovah. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver, and ornaments of gold, and garments, and gave them to Ribkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, Let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, Do not delay me, since Yahovah has prospered my way. Let me go, so that I go to my master. And they said, Let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Ribkah and said to her, Are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let go Ribkah their sister and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Ribkah and said to her, Let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Ribkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribkah and left. And Yitzhak came from the way of Beer Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Yitzhak went out to meditate in the field in the evening. And he lifted his eyes and looked, and saw the camels coming. And Ribkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yitzhak, she dismounted from her camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" And the servant said, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitzhak all the matters he had done. And Yitzhak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Ribkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yitzhak was comforted after his mother's death. Genesis 25 through verse 18. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shua. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Laom. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Abida, and Aldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzhak. But to the sons of the concubines whom Abram had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yitzhak, eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last, and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Yitzhak and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Shohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be, after the death of Abraham, that Elohim blessed his son Yitzhak, and Yitzhak dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mitzrite, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebaioth, then Kedar, then Adbael, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Yetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Hawilah as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim as ye go towards Ashur. He settled before all his brothers. 1 Kings 1, verses 1 through 31. And sovereign David was old, advanced in years, and they covered him with garments, but he could not get warm. So his servants said to him, Let them seek for our master the sovereign a young woman, a maiden, and she shall stand before the sovereign and be his companion, and shall lie in your bosom, so that our master the sovereign gets warm. And they sought for a lovely young woman in all the border of Israel, and found Abishag the Shunammite, and brought her to the sovereign. And the young woman was very lovely, and she was a companion for the sovereign, and served him, but the sovereign did not know her. And Adoniah, son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I reign. And he prepared for himself a chariot and horsemen. and 50 men to run before him. Now his father had not worried him at any time by saying, "Why have you done so?" He was also very good looking, and he was born after Absalom. And he talked with Joab, son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar the priest, and they supported Adoniah. But Zadok the priest, and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Ray, and the mighty men who belonged to David were not with Adoniah. And Adoniah offered sheep and cattle and fatlings by the stone of Zoheleth, which is by Enrogel. He also invited all his brothers, the sovereign's sons, and all the men of Yehudah, servants of the sovereign. But he did not invite Nathan the prophet, or Benaiah, or the mighty men, or Shalomo his brother. Nathan then spoke to Bathsheba, the mother of Shalomo, saying, "Have you not heard that Adoniah, son of Haggith, has become sovereign, and David our master does not know it? And now, come, let me give you advice, and deliver your own life and the life of your son Shalomo. Go immediately to sovereign David and say to him, Did you not, my master, O sovereign, swear to your female servant, saying, Certainly your son Shalomo shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. Why then has Adoniah become sovereign? Look, while you are still speaking there with the sovereign, let me come in after you and confirm your words." And Bathsheba went into the room to the sovereign. Now the sovereign was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite was serving the sovereign. And Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance to the sovereign. And the sovereign said, "What do you wish?" And she said to him, "My master, you swore by Jehovah your Elohim to your female servant, saying, Certainly Shalomo your son shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne. And now look, Adoniah has become sovereign, and now my master the sovereign, you do not know about it. And he has offered great numbers of bulls and fatlings and sheep, and has invited all the sons of the sovereign, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the commander of the army, but he did not invite Shalomo your servant. And you, my master, O sovereign, the eyes of all Israel are on you, to declare to them who is going to sit on the throne of my master the sovereign after him. Otherwise it shall be, when my master the sovereign rests with his fathers, that I and my son Shalomo shall be considered sinners." And see, while she was still speaking with the sovereign, Nathan the prophet also came in. So they informed the sovereign, saying, "Here is Nathan the prophet." And when he came in before the sovereign, he bowed down before the sovereign with his face to the ground. And Nathan said, "My master, O sovereign, have you said, Adoniah shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne? For he is gone down today, and has offered great numbers of bulls and fatlings and sheep, and has invited all the sovereign's sons, and the commanders of the army, and Abiathar the priest. And look, they are eating and drinking before him. And they say, Let sovereign Adoniah live. But he has not invited me, your servant, nor Zadok the priest, nor Benaiah, nor Jehoiada, nor your servant Shalomo. If this matter is from my master the sovereign, then you did not let your servant know who should sit on the throne of my master the sovereign after him." And sovereign David answered and said, "Call Bathsheba to me." So she came into the sovereign's presence and stood before the sovereign. And the sovereign took an oath and said, "As Jehovah lives, who has redeemed my life out of all distress, even as I swore to you by Jehovah Elohim of Israel, saying, Certainly Shalomo, your son, shall reign after me, and he shall sit on my throne in my place. Even so I do this day. And Bathsheba bowed her face to the earth, and did obeisance to the sovereign, and said, Let my master, sovereign David, live forever. John 4, verses 3 through 14. He left Yehuda and went away again to Galilee, and he had to pass through Shomaron. So he came to a city of Shomaron called Shechem, near the piece of land Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And Jacob's fountain was there. So Yeshua, being wearied from the journey, was sitting thus at the fountain. It was about the 6th hour. A woman of Shomaron came to draw water. Yeshua said to her, Give me to drink. For his taught ones had gone off into the city to buy food. The woman of Shomaron therefore said to him, How is it that you, being a Yehudite, ask a drink from me, a woman of Shomaron? For Yehudim do not associate with Shomaronites. Yeshua answered and said to her, If you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is who says to you, Give me to drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. The woman said to him, Master, you have no vessel, and the well is deep. From where, then, do you have living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well, and drank from it himself, and his sons, and his cattle? Yeshua answered and said to her, Everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst. And the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up into everlasting life. Our sixth Torah portion